Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about a passionate issue of mine, and it is why I believe disenfranchised people deserve the right to vote, which is people who have been convicted of felony. In most states in America, they're unable to vote. So I'm Robert Sestak, and I'm going to begin by asking you guys a simple question. How many people in here have ever voted? Okay, I don't see too many hands. That is because students are one of the lowest population groups to vote. Now, did you know there is a population that votes even less than that? Involuntarily. The felony population in our country are not allowed to vote at all. So this is people convicted of felonies in our country. I feel that any individual, convicted felon or not, who has paid their debt to society should be allowed to vote. The goal of our justice system is to correct the behavior of a person and to rehabilitate citizens to fit back into society. And once a person has served their sentence, they should be considered rehabilitated and ready to re-enter society. I became interested in this topic when reading an article in the New York Times, because I'm from New York and I read the newspaper. I was just curious. And I saw that in Florida, the disenfranchisement population is almost 10%. Now that means about 1 in 10 people can't vote in Florida because they are a convicted felon. This creates representation problems with citizens, meaning that people who vote don't agree with who is elected because they can't have a say in who is elected. We consider our country a democracy, which is a government for the people, by the people, which means the people elect the government officials who make the laws, and in turn we get laws and fair politicians that we wanted. And everybody's happy. But when you eliminate people and you don't let them say their opinions and what they want in the government, it creates problems. That means that citizens who choose who they want and make their laws for country do not get the say. If almost 6 million people cannot vote in our country, there must be a problem. This brings me to my first point. Now, the size of the felony population is close to 6 million people, which is about the size of the state of Maryland, which according to the National Census website. The state of Maryland would not be happy if they were left out of a voting process of our president, which means they wouldn't be able to have a say in who they want our president to be. Now, felons have the same issue. They are unhappy because other citizens are making laws and electing politicians without their say or opinions. They're completely left out, disregarded, disqualified from any sort of political participation. In the state of Florida, where the disenfranchisement rate is extremely high, 1 in about every 10 normal citizens cannot vote because of their felony history, like I said. Since 2012, 5 of 7 political contests in Florida have boiled down to a winning margin of less than 1.5 percentage points and less than 120,000 votes, sometimes much less than that. And 4 of those 5 races have gone to the Republican candidate. This data suggests Amendment 4, which is allowing felons to vote in the state of Florida, could be a game changer in the Sunshine State, according to the New York Times. Many felons feel that and this brings me to my next point. Many felons feel they are outcasted from society and made to feel less than the average citizen. One disenfranchised felon describes the mental struggle of being classified in the disenfranchised population. One woman, identified as Cozad, expresses her discontent with the current situation and her desire to see a change in the voting process. It would mean the world to me to see something like this, Cozad, who's 54, said of automatic restoration. It would make a convicted felon feel as if they belong in society once again. This is from Dr. Clayworth of the Des Moines Register, which is a newspaper. This quote embodies the opinion of an average convicted felon who has had their right to vote taken away from our country. Our country should make all citizens, former felons or not, feel as if they are welcome in our country, not disqualified from basic governmental processes. My next point is that disqualifying citizens from our voting process is hypocritical of what our country stands for. Our country is based on our citizens. The citizens make the rules and elect the leaders they believe are best fit for the job and are going to make the most fair laws and that appeal to the most people. We need to include everyone in our voting process to make our laws more reflective of a population. When you eliminate a large portion of citizens from a vote, they are more likely to break the laws because they don't want them and were never given a chance to let the government know how they feel and how they want them to be ran. This is from the Connecticut Mirror, local newspaper. Now, however, not everybody feels that felons should automatically get the right to vote back. Some people that they say that they believe that they should never be able to vote again, and that they should have to wait longer than normal. Should have to wait longer than normal to have their voting rights reinstated. An article titled "Should Felons Be Allowed to Vote?" argues by Edward Fesser that letting felons to vote is wrong. The most prevalent point is that Democrats have lost many recent elections and want to expand their party by allowing felons to vote, so they will vote Democratic. So, quote, after 3 national electoral defeats in a row, the Democrats need to enlarge their base. If that means reaching out to lock in the pedophile and the home invader, so be it. Many Republicans have spoke on this issue. And it is clear that this is not a one-sided issue, first of all. Many Republicans agree, and Mr. Fesser is an outlier, and that there needs to be a higher percentage of voters from the convicted felon population. After all, they are citizens, and they do deserve a fair say in our government. I would argue that Mr. Fesser is wrong because everyone deserves the God-given right to vote. It is what our country stands for, and if you live in this country and have not committed an unforgivable crime such as murder, you deserve the right to vote because you are a tax-paying citizen. This point of view has many flaws in it. The largest being is that it is hypocritical of what our country stands for. I think that there should be a case-by-case method of allowing felons to vote. So a committee votes on whether they feel a person has expressed traits that they believe that they are rehabilitated and can vote and have a say in our government again. Now, finalizing my thoughts up. Citizens in a democratic society deserve the right to vote, hence the name God-given from our Constitution. This means that all citizens are born with the same rights, and the power of these rights is beyond the government. It is up to God, which is a higher power than the government. It is of the utmost importance for citizens to hold their voting power. Without it, citizens are forgotten, ignored, disregarded, and left to deal with any problems they cannot fix for themselves. It is the government's job to do what is best and make sure every citizen has the authority in the voting process, because without it, there is no democratic society. There is not a simple issue to fix. There must be widespread agreement across our government to reinstate ex-felon voting rights. I think that there should be a case-by-case method, like I said. That is my personal opinion about how I think this committee should be fixed. And that's what I've done my research on. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great day.